Welcome to Kelly Minds Her Manors, a podcast about real estate and entrepreneurship with a twist. Here's your host, Kelly Robinson.
Thank you so much for joining another episode of Kelly Minds Her Manors. This week, I have the pleasure of interviewing Serena Uziyel, who is an incredible fashion designer specializing in shoes and handbags. Serena Uziyel is a fashion designer with an unwavering admiration for tradition, art, and craftsmanship, who drew inspiration from her innate attention to detail to launch her eponymous collection in 2019. With a passion for reviving ancient artisanal techniques and imbuing them with a touch of modernity, I can never say that word right, the Serena Uziyel accessories collection exudes unparalleled artistry and sophistication, intended to be treasured for generations to come. I personally have the pleasure of owning quite a few of Serena's pieces, and I must say her shoes are beautiful and comfortable, as are her bags. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn from one of the most dynamic and innovative entrepreneurs of our time. This is the story of Serena Uziyel. So thank you so much for being on Kelly Minds Her Manors. I am so grateful that you took the time out of your extremely busy schedule. I know you're always traveling all over the world, and you take so much pride in your business and overseeing things. So I really appreciate your time, and I'm so excited for people to hear your story.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is an honor for me.
It's an honor for me. So thank you so much. Yeah. I love all of the things that you make. They're so beautiful. Your designs are incredible. They're so different, and your shoes are comfortable. Like, I've never had a more comfortable pair of heels that were also so beautiful that I could run around in. I mean, you really did such a great job designing something with beauty and comfort at the same time. That's a heel, you know? Most
That's
of the
best
time.
thing.
Yeah.
That's the best thing that one designer can hear.
Well, it's a good thing. I mean, most designers are not comfortable. If you want a sexy heel on, you gotta deal with the pain, but not with your shoes. So, and I also love your bags, especially the katana clutch that just kind of holds itself on your hand. I love that because it actually, most clutches you got to hold under here or whatever, but that frees you up. So it's so practical as well as beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, with that, we're gonna have a new thing. We're gonna add, adjustable chains as well. So,
Oh, cool!
you can change your chain
I
after a
love
while.
that.
Yeah,
I love that. That's so smart. Well, I'll be saving up. So I'm going to get started with the questions, and I want to rewind the clock and delve into your childhood. So what was your hometown like, and how did growing up there influence the person you are today? And how did it shape your work ethic and the way that you approach everything?
I think I have a family with very strong women,
Love
starting
that.
from starting from my grandmother and then my grand aunt and then my mom. All of them very strong women. And thanks to my mom, I will say, I started taking painting lessons from very young age. And then she realized that I'm more creative person. And thanks to her, I started to explore my creativity, explore the way that I see the world and how I can bring to beautiful items, products, let's say. And I had all my trainings about design and paintings and learning, from from the best people that I can have around the world.
That's amazing. I mean, so you were creating art as a child?
Yes, my mom is very fond of art, and all my my grandmothers and my grand aunt as well. So, and my grand aunt owned a very special hat shop in Beyoğlu, like, very old part of Istanbul
Mm.
in the late 90s. So I think I got all my inspiration from the family tradition roots, and that's like, the way that I see the world change a lot. The way that, like, I perceive the world change a lot. This to grow up in a family with very strong identity and traditions, and like being very attached to the roots.
Yeah, absolutely. So that combined with an artistic eye must be one of the reasons why your creations are so incredible. Is there a person who you attribute to the sculpting of your character into what it is today? And is that your mom, or is that somebody else that has impacted your life and shaped the person you've become?
I think my mom and my grandmothers,
Mm.
all these stories I hear from the family, like, I believe like the strong woman in my family really shaped my personality and the way that really perceive the world, and how I got inspired, how small details can change. I believe, yes, the strong woman in my family shaped me greatly.
I love that because you're also such a good businesswoman, and you don't normally see such creative people also really good with business. And you're good at both, then that's a rare combination. So your strong women in your family, I'm sure, helped to shape that part of you as well.
I'm trying. I think the whole family is full of good business men and men people. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn from the best, I believe, and from life.
Yeah.
My training was about design, and I went to Parsons School of Design. Um, so I studied graphic design and fashion design. And while I was studying, I took like philosophy, psychology, and with the business, I think like working with different brands and working like, building my brand, I learned a lot how to become a businesswoman as well. So there is a huge balance, I believe. It's
Yeah.
challenging, but it's a learning process.
That's good. I mean, it's always a learning process in business, right? I mean, I try to be a really good businesswoman and I fail all the time, but then the next time I try and do it, I do it either the right way if I don't fail a second time, and I do it better because I failed and I learned from failing, you know? So I feel
I
like
think you're a great businesswoman. You're amazing.
oh, you're so sweet. I try to.
You
I
are.
think it's important for all of us women to lift each other up and support each other because there are so many women out there who are jealous or whatnot, and I just love supporting other strong successful women. I think it's so important for us women to stick together.
I think so too. That's like, I totally agree. I think we need to help each other and support each other. I think that's
Uh,
like, I believe the same thing.
yeah. So, can you share the genesis of your love for fashion? I want the audience to hear when this passion first stirred within you and how it's evolved over time because you started with art, right?
Yeah, I think, you know, again, thanks to my mom. I think
Yeah.
I designed my first boots. She was traveling to Paris, and I insisted her she needs to buy me one boot, suede boot with zipper in front. And I even drove to her. And unfortunately, she couldn't find it when she
Oh.
was traveling. So when she came back, I made me one pair the way that I want. I think most probably I was 7 years old or 6 years
Wow.
old. And so I think like we all knew that I was gonna do something about design. And then the more I was involved when I was in high school, I really liked the way that fashion impacts the people's emotions.
Mm.
I love seeing that. I love seeing, like, how the aesthetic and some like the beauty and the details like lift up a woman. And I say, like, this is another way to lifting another woman. So I
Yeah.
like after like while I was studying at Parsons, I said, okay, I want to do something, connecting to the psychology, people's emotions, and then like I think I'm a very good observer. I can say this about myself. So
Mm.
I love observing people around me, what they like, what they need, what they like, they make what make them happy. So, and I think while I was at Parsons, I did lots of internship. I tried to discover what I really want to focus. And I
Yeah.
realized after my few internships with like Calvin Klein collection bags, Donna Karan collection bags, Moschino, Alberto Ferretti, Marie Claire in New York, I said, okay, I really like the challenge, and I want to focus on shoes because shoes is like building a building. Like
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
so, and it's like a very small surface where you have to create different things. And the same thing with bags. Like, the shoes needs to be very comfortable because it become part of your body. And the
Mhm.
bags as well, like, change the whole outfit, like the whole, like, the way that like woman is standing there. So I say, okay, I love the challenge. And after finishing Parsons School of Design, I went to Architoria in Milan, and I studied shoemaking. Then
Yeah.
I got a job offer from Debbie Crowell, and
Wow.
I started to focus more and more on bags and shoes. And I think I found my thing.
That's amazing. So, and you had a completely global journey in the fashion industry after Parsons, right? You spent 2 years working for Zara International in Spain before you went on to establish the shoes and bags collection at Sanai 313. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to see fashion from all around the world and what people, the different cultures, appreciated about different accessories and whatnot, right? So, um, I don't know. Let's talk a little bit more about that.
I think all my experience had a different challenges and I learned a lot. Um, Zara was a very good school for me. So I mean it was very experimental, very challenging, very competitive, but it was very good experience. And then I did some some project for Escad and Judith Lieber as well. And I
Mm.
worked for David Morale before that. So living in New York, living in Spain, and then living in Florence and working with all these different brands, I think each brand has their different perspective for the fashion. And I learned a lot. I think that was like these were amazing trainings for me,
Yeah.
and put my knowledge to the table, and that was a great one for me. And while I was living in Florence, which was always my dream, to live in Italy, I met my mentor, Giuseppe Amaro. I think that was like the best luck, like the best thing that can happen to me. Thanks to him, I learned all these technicalities, all different factories in Italy, in Florence. He was this man with very big hands, and he's a very interesting personality. And for some reason, he understood, like, how dedicated I am to learn and to get training, and he started to train me and he started to teach me all these different techniques. He was the main person at Prada and Ferragamo. He worked for both brands for years. He was
Wow.
making the molds of shoes with his hands. When he was seeing one shoe from far away, he can say, this is not gonna work, this is gonna work. So I think in all my experiences, I'm very grateful to meet Giuseppe Amalo. Thanks to him, I started my brand and I had my courage to start my own designs.
Yeah. And it's interesting that as a grandmaster, that he had such big hands, because you would think of somebody who's designing or creating something so delicate that they would have smaller, delicate hands, right? Like it's amazing that that he can make what he's able to make with such large hands.
You should see him while he was working. It's amazing, amazing. He was able to do a shoe pattern in like 10 minutes. He was
Wow.
like where to cut, how to put the leather, like which leather will go for which shoe. It was incredible. It was really incredible experience, and every single person in each factory was so respectful to him.
Oh,
Like, but
I
not
bet.
only shoe factories, but also like because shoes are like made of different components. So there are different factories for each components, heel factories, sole factories, the last factories. He will go to the last factory and the guy who's making the last will leave the space to him so he can mold his own last because
Oh, wow.
on the wood. So it's like sculpting.
Yeah, that's amazing. How has your heritage influenced you in your designs? Is that like your designs themselves, right? Like, was there anything in your childhood with your mom and your grandmothers and your aunts that inspired the design, especially for the chain detail?
Yeah, I mean, the family is very important. I think the tradition and the roots where I grew up. So I think it's one of the most precious values is my heritage.
Yeah.
And um, I've been like, as I say, been raised in a family where women were really powerful, inspiring, courageous. So we had like had used to have big family tables. Like still we have big family tables. We
Mm,
can details like the tradition, the rituals, like the way that they welcome in the guests, like all this detailing they're putting in the tables, like the gold threads, the decorations on the edge, the tablecloths, curtain pillows, the way like they were preparing for like anyone that's coming to the house. It's like it was
um,
such an amazing scenery for me to watch and to see all these details. So I think I have like that kind of personality, like I can sit somewhere and then I get my inspiration. And
mhm.
I think those big tables and the family reunions and the roots really like inspire me a lot. And all these details that like right now putting in my work, like let's say the chains, is that
Yeah.
coming from the roots, that the traditions, the old techniques that we all forgot. So
Wow.
it's the same silk thread that you see. So the chain is the symbol which becomes our signature, um, is the symbol for unity, for together.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
yes. And I love like the three-dimensional effect because the three-dimension gives you the emotions, like
Mhm.
you more emotional. And the way that what we do with the thread, we change, we wrap them with different silk threads that you can find from like even from the Ottoman Empire, the kaftans or the tablecloth, the gold thread, the silver thread. Sometimes we use 6 different saturation of gold to give you this three dimension.
Wow.
So this wrapping and braiding, all these techniques that you find in the old times. I think the way what we do is like modernize them and like remind people all this uniqueness and like each because every single embroidery that we do is hand embroidery. So every person who does that leaves a trace behind. And
Oh,
like for the shoes, they will never be equal, like the left and
right.
right. I think that's very, very emotionally interesting. Even someone
Yeah.
is actually like, I want the same identical. No way, because every person has different touch.
I love that. And you know what? That's also, I mean, that also plays back into art, right? Because it's so much more valuable to have a unique piece of art, a one of one, as they say here, where nobody else has that piece of art instead of an edition of like 20 or something like that. So that's really interesting. It's always so much more valuable to have a one of one and a unique piece. And I love the story behind that, the unity behind the chain detail. That's just so incredible. How long does it take for each chain to be made?
Like some of them takes like sometimes 60 hours, 70 hours. Yes.
Wow.
And I'm very proud to say that we're working with almost like 250 women from Turkey.
That's amazing.
Yeah, these women stay at home and they have like, this ability and of this different like hand embroidery craftsmanship. We teach them different techniques and we train them when they have like we build a community of women who share
Mm.
the same value with us and who help us to build our craftsmanship. And I think that's a very beautiful thing for Serena Uziyel.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It's such a beautiful story behind the piece. So your fashion line was launched online with Net-a-Porter, right? And was this planned in terms of visibility? Net-a-Porter is a significant platform for discovery, especially for brands, tastemakers, and creatives in the industry. Can you tell us more about your decision to launch with them and how it has impacted your brand's growth and exposure?
I think we always wanted to be online. I think digital is very, very important.
Yeah.
So to partner with the right people, retailers, and digital platform is very important because we launched Serena Uziyel at the time of COVID. So it was very challenging and
Yeah.
a learning process. Thanks to big partnership, we had the chance to reach different women around the world. And I think that's very important. That's extremely important. Right now,
Yeah.
we are sold at Matches Fashion as well, and New Marcus, part of Goodman. And we continue to grow. Hopefully, we're going to grow more and more, and we're going to touch different women around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every friend that I've shown that I've worn my shoes or bag in front of that you've made have complimented them. They've made a point to compliment them because they're so different and beautiful. And yeah, I mean, more exposure, I think the more you get. You're also in Saks, right?
Yes, yes, we
Yeah.
are
So
having as
you're in
well.
all of the luxury stores. So how did you go about securing the partnerships with brands like Bergdorf's and Neiman's and Saks? Because that came later, right?
Yes, it's a long process. It's a very challenging and long process. I think right time, right price positioning. I think that's like, all these components adds up. And then in a way, when you do something emotional, you find the right people to partner with.
Yeah. Yeah. Who inspires you inside and outside of fashion, and how have they impacted your work and creative vision?
I got inspired, like, it's very hard to say one name. But I think, I got inspiration from any woman that I can see on the street when I feel like, there's like something emotional about her, like, or
Mm.
about like something interesting, like a detail.
Hmm.
Uh, so I will say, like, anyone who brings up their emotions, their feelings can inspire me. And yeah, I will say that.
As a designer, how do you determine when a particular design is complete and ready to be presented to the world?
It's a very interesting process. I do my designs a lot with my hands. So I spend lots of time in the workshops and
Mm.
in the factories. So it's a challenging and interesting process. You never feel like it's completed. It
Mm.
feels like you always want to do something more.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you like the thing that makes me more excited is the three dimension. When I
Mm.
feel the surfaces, I do lots of things with my hands. So I like to touch, I want to understand what feelings they're giving me, like what emotions I'm having when I see that piece. And if it excites me, I start like, okay, that's the right direction. Sometimes I stop, I go far away, and I think about it, and then I say, okay, let's leave that one for now. Let's move to another one. And so it's a process, like the process of creation is a world of its own. I love observing around and get inspiration from surroundings. And sometimes, the process is painful.
Really? Because it's long and tedious, or because it's emotional?
It's emotional. It's more
Mm.
emotional. It's like, it's it's very emotional sometimes. Like, yeah.
That's so interesting. I never thought of it that way. That's so interesting. The Catena collection, with its intricate and exquisite chain detail, has become synonymous with your brand. Would you consider this design element to be your signature style, setting your shoes and bags apart from other brands in the industry?
I think so, yeah. And my
Yeah.
favorite one is the Catenanotte. I love
Mm,
the small ones, we have like 190 millimeter and it comes in different colors. And
yeah.
this season we have like, the whole Katana family with the popping, like, very, like very strong colors, like
Yeah.
the fuchsia, the orange, the emerald. So I think, it's fun. And I love the katanotte because like the silver version looks like a jewelry on your foot, and I think it's beautiful.
It does. It's so gorgeous. I was actually looking at it the other day. And the one with the colors too. I love that. It's so great for resort or for summer or vacation. It's just fun. It is. It's fun and it's beautiful. What are your favorite fashion trends right now?
I think the colors, I love that. The popping colors.
Yeah.
Normally I'm like more classic person, like, beige, cream, gray, black, camel. But these colors this summer, I think the season is very like very fresh, like very vivid. Like you want to have like, leave that freshness. I think it's nice. I like that.
Yeah, I do too. It gives you a little bit more of the opportunity to express yourself, right?
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. Your products, like we've discussed, are crafted by skilled artisans. Why is it crucial for you to work with these craftspeople, and how does their involvement contribute to the quality and authenticity of the brand?
I think, right now, like I think the more and more people wants to have this handmade effect, the craftsmanship, the quality, they want to feel different. And I think like, in this modern life, everything is changing so fast. And
Mm,
I love this craftsmanship with the hands, like, slowing down, like makes you think about it, stop one
yeah.
second, like, digest what you see, like feel what you see, and then hear what you see and touch what you see. Like, with five different senses, you can really feel that craftsmanship. Even
Mm,
you can smell that. So I think that's like, I'm like, I think this process, I think is beautiful. And
yeah.
we use like, these shoes and bags in three different countries. We work with 250 women in Turkey. We work with some artisans in India as well. And then we assemble the shoes and bags neatly. So it's a huge process. It's a very long process. And I think that's like, makes very special because what you hold in your hand or on your foot, it's it's specially made for you. It's like so many
Yeah.
people involved. Like, so I think it's very, very important to remind us to slow down and appreciate what you have.
I agree. And now when I mean, I always feel special when I wear your designs, but I'm going to feel even more special now knowing this history and what goes into it. And I just think it's such a beautiful story. How do you feel about fast fashion?
I'm not like, I think people are more interested in the timeless pieces, you know, and I think like, creating a cultural treasure to keep for generation. I think that's like, very beautiful. So fast fashion, to be honest, I'm a little bit far away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I would much rather have less clothes and shoes and bags and have more things that are handmade and thoughtful and that I can wear for years that are timeless and special and unique than just to go and grab something that has, thousands of the same thing off the rack that was made in 10 minutes, or you know what I mean? You know what I mean, because you just
Yeah.
said it. How do you want your designs to make the women who wear them feel?
I mean, I'm very proud when I see one of my design on a lady or in a woman. It just like, I love like very, very empowered every time someone from different part of the world discover the collection or appreciate the inspiration and craftsmanship.
Yeah.
And like, it's my dream to really touch different parts of like different women around the world. I think, that intimacy with the woman that we are building is the most important and valuable thing that I can have.
Yeah. So what's next for Serena Uziel? What's next for your brand? Do you see yourself making apparel as well, or do you think you're going to stick with shoes and bags and just keep making beautiful shoes and bags?
I'm very open to the different collaborations, like not only ready to wear, but like, home accessories, stand, or like, anything. I'm very open. I love creating and like, bringing the strengths together. I think I love that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to limit myself, but I think I love what I'm doing with accessories, shoes, and bags. But I love to collaborate and find out different, like, the way the process is. That will be
Yeah.
amazing. That's my one of my dreams. Like, to do real good collaborations and like, bring the strengths together. I will love that.
I would love to see that. What's the most important lesson you've learned on your journey as an entrepreneur in fashion?
I think to be precise. And then I learned the most important thing to thanks to Giuseppe. He always told me that like, building a shoe is extremely important. It's like becoming part of your body. It
Hmm.
should, like he was telling me, he's like very like he had like he didn't speak English, so we were speaking with him Italian. So he was always telling me, Serena, the shoe is not to put here under your arm, but on your foot. So it needs to be aesthetically beautiful, but super comfortable. So I think that was one of the things that I learned from him. It's super important. And I think it's another thing that, like, in order to achieve your goal, you have to put your mind, your soul to your work and then to make it happen.
Yeah. Okay. So I actually have an audience question for you
Mhm.
from Samantha Delanoche. She's Sam I Am Real Estate. And she asked, what new fashion trends do you think will last? And what do you think is going out of style?
I think, the style that like, one person have, like, the personality, like, the way that she puts things together is will never out of trend. Like this meaning, you can like, mix different um timepieces together and make it modern. I think that's like, always will be important.
Yeah.
And like that's I think that's like, I love mixing different like the old and new and bringing your personality and giving a twist. I think that's like, giving your personality is the it will never like the style will never go out. I think these emotions that you put while you're like, into the fashion. think that's like, I think the emotion part. So like,
Yeah.
that's the most important thing that will be always like important for fashion.
Yeah.
Like we are like all attracted to fashion because we want like, we like to feel better, good, happier.
Yeah, for sure. You put on two different types of outfits or shoes and you feel like a different person, or it builds your confidence, or it makes you feel beautiful when you didn't feel beautiful 5 minutes ago, before you took a shower, and your hair was all messy and whatever, but you get ready and you put on that one last piece, that beautiful pair of shoes or that beautiful handbag, and it just makes you feel a whole different emotion. It's true. It builds confidence. And I think your brand does that very well.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah. So now it's time for my fearless 5 questions. The 5 questions I told you I was going to ask that we keep secret before the show. But I promise you they won't be scary. And if you don't want to answer, there are 5 questions. You don't have to answer 2 of them. So if you don't like one or you don't feel like you have the answer, it's okay. We don't have to answer all of them. So number 1, if you could retire anywhere in the world, where would you live?
Tuscany.
Tuscany? Yeah. Who doesn't want to live in Tuscany? I hear you. Number 2, who is your favorite clothing designer right now?
Hard one. Let me think about it. I think I always love Phoebe Philo. I like the way that she's thinking. And I believe Phoebe Philo. I will say Phoebe Philo.
Okay.
In the old times of Yves Saint Laurent. I really liked Yves Saint Laurent. Really, really like Yves Saint Laurent.
Me too.
Schiaparelli. And her time of Schiaparelli.
Oh, wow.
I love her. Super.
That's awesome. Okay, number 3. How many languages do you speak? Because I know you speak Turkish and I know you speak English. And I think maybe from what we talked about, you speak Italian. So how many languages do you speak?
I think 4. Turkish, English, Italian, French. I used to speak as well, but I think with my Italian, I a little bit lost my Spanish language because
they're very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to mix them up. I mean, it's easy to mix them up. Okay, number 4. Do you prefer a night in or do you prefer a night out on the town?
Night in.
Night in. Me too. Okay, number 5. If you could devote the rest of your life to a philanthropy or a charity, what cause would you choose and why?
I think empowering young girls. I believe, the young girls who will need like education and health and care. Definitely.
That's amazing. I'm right there with you. So that's it. Those were my questions and you answered them so well. And I loved listening to your story and your passion for design and the history, and especially, how your family's gatherings and the way that they put so much thought into just the tablecloths and all of the details before having guests come over. It's just so touching and heartwarming, and how that inspired you. I absolutely love that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It was great talking to you. And it's an amazing week here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you I know that you're going to be offering the audience a discount. You go to serenauziyel.com and we'll put it in the show notes. Welcome 10, and you get a 10% discount off of something from Serena's beautiful collection. So don't forget to check her site out. Thank you so much. And I hope I see you very soon.
I hope so too.
Okay.
Thank you for watching and listening to Kelly Minds Her Manors. Make sure to subscribe to the show and don't forget to leave us a review to tell us what you liked about the episode. You can connect with Kelly at Kelly Minds Her Manors on Instagram and TikTok, or on our website, www.kellymindshermanors.com.